Hello,
Hi.
Sheila. Hi.
Welcome to the official launch of the Flipping Dementia Stigma an action group's guide. This is a very exciting day for everyone, and we have lots to share. So I'd like to start us off in a good way by passing the baton to Mariko to do a land acknowledgement.
Thanks so much, Heather. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our 80th Action Group meeting. And as Heather mentioned, our special launch today of the guide. Hi, Deb. So glad you're here today to join us. Welcome also Kim, Lori, and Sheila to this space where we're going to be doing some great sharing today. What's really neat about this gathering today is that there are folks here from all parts of the province. So not just the Lower Mainland, but the interior of BC, Northern BC, Vancouver Island, and different parts of the Lower Mainland and the Fraser Valley. So we're all joining it. And I think, Sheila, you might actually be coming in from Manitoba. There you go. So another province. So we're actually all finding ourselves on different lands, which are important to acknowledge. But maybe for today, in order to connect us all in this virtual space, we're going to imagine that we're finding ourselves at UBC, because this project does primarily come out of the University of British Columbia. And so I just wanted to say and acknowledge and be grateful for the fact that UBC finds itself on the unceded lands of the Musqueam people. This is ancestral territory, and it's so important to acknowledge that and be grateful for that. And as a part of that, be grateful for this opportunity that this project has provided for all of us to meet continuously in this amazing virtual space. And so I think with that thought in mind, and this idea of continued sharing that we get to do together, I'll pass it to you, Jim, to introduce the ideas we're going to be exploring today.
Sure. Thanks, Mariko. The action group of people living with dementia from the start of this project in 2019 identified stigma as the priority. The stigma of living with dementia, the automatic assumptions that are made, the emphasis on incapability, being ignored, and whose opinions or input are no longer sought. I think early on with the project, Lester spoke of an acquaintance being surprised he was out on his own and wasn't accompanied by his wife, Cindy. That one example, that story resonated with me as it did with each member of the action group. That person knew of Lester's dementia diagnosis and in their mind automatically made Lester incapable of being out on his own, incapable of using transit. Those lessons, those personal stories and experiences from each action group member formed and informed the FlippingStigma.com toolkit. The toolkit tackles what the experience of stigma and discrimination looks like from the perspective of those living with dementia and provides vivid examples in members' voices. The toolkit also effectively demonstrates capability, that after receiving a diagnosis of dementia, they can continue to contribute to society. I read somewhere, probably on Twitter, the question, what if, instead of living in the tragedy of dementia, we live in the possibility that remains? Action group members certainly believe that. They definitely live and explore possibilities to make their community and the world a better and more understanding and accepting place. Members rolled up their sleeves, worked together, and developed what they hoped would be an accessible resource applicable not only in their community. The material was theirs, their story and experiences, but they knew their experiences of stigma and discrimination were not confined to them alone. Stigma had no borders. It was a new process for us, the action group and the research team, creating and developing an accessible online resource over Zoom. but the action group team made it happen. It is online, and I am so impressed with the analytics showing how often the toolkit is accessed and from where. After 4 years of working together, focusing on the work, and supporting each other in the process, action group members took the time over this last year to reflect on coming into the project as individuals and now seeing themselves as an effective and collaborative action group. One outcome from those reflective discussions was recognizing their personal journey and the group's achievements. This was worth sharing, they felt, because, as one member said, why should people and groups have to recreate the wheel? And in this hour, we will highlight how members are sharing their experiences and the successes of the toolkit's creative journey. Their hope is that other groups will be inspired by the Flipping Dementia Stigma and Action Group's guide and be more confident in pursuit of a new project or endeavor.
Thank you so much, Jim. I love what you said about living in the possibility. That was fantastic. And now I'd like to pass this over to Alison Finney to share some of her thoughts with us.
Oh, thank you, Jim. Maybe I shouldn't have agreed to follow you, Jim, because it's always a difficult place to be. What you've said is really important. But I want to take just a couple minutes, maybe just to share a little bit from the perspective, and I'm looking at you, Deb, you're here too, but a perspective from the research side of things, and to back up a little and just kind of give us an overall kind of umbrella view of what this project has been. It began, I think, with a call from the Canadian Institutes of Health Research. They wanted to see research projects that looked at issues around stigma and inclusion in dementia. And Deborah O'Connor and I have done research in that area. We were interested, we met, we submitted a proposal, and it didn't get funded. We reached out and we included Jim this time as a third principal investigator, and knowing full well, you've just heard the kind of communication skill that you bring, Jim. Really, with the three of us, we were able to get funding for a project whose goal was, we said, to better understand what is social citizenship. A very nice academic concept, made a lot of sense to you and I, Deb. But as Jim explained, when we started to work with a group of people with dementia, people said, no, that language is not it. It really is about stigma. And I would acknowledge, seeing too, people here from the Alzheimer's Society, that idea didn't come out of nowhere. It wasn't just a coincidence that a group of people in British Columbia came together and said it's about stigma. That also reflects ongoing conversations that have been led by the Alzheimer's Society in this country and in this province, and led by other advocates with dementia for quite some time. But we listened. And as you've heard, we created this amazing toolkit and we developed T-shirts that people want to buy from us across the country. And the toolkit has had enormous impact. It really has. It has been, you can correct me, Sam, but I believe last told it's been accessed from 53 countries around the world. It has been identified by the World Health Organization as one of the top 10 tools to promote and foster community inclusion. And it's being used actively across the province. It's been, so for example, the Kits Neighborhood House here in Vancouver has used it as an education and awareness raising tool for all of their volunteers. That's a lot of people. That's the volunteers that work in the child care center, because they recognize that this is important for all of us in our community to be able to connect well with people with dementia. But now, as you heard Jim say, in this last year, we really it was hard to know how to kind of finish this project. I'll be honest, because there was so much energy, and getting the toolkit out the door, we knew that that wasn't the end of the work. So it was about implementing, sharing the toolkit, doing presentations so other people could know about it. But there was also this really important last phase of the work, really, was to stop and think about what we've done. For the action group to stop and say, this really was an amazing thing that we've achieved. How did we do it? And to have those conversations. And this beautiful little book, which you can't see because I have my blur on, this book is really the outcome of that. And I would say it's not just a memento, although it's that. It's not just a feel-good story, although it is hugely inspiring to read. But it's really, I think we've kind of talked about this. For me, it feels like a call to action. Because I think one of the kind of key takeaways is this group was very special. We've done something really important here as a group of individuals and have developed a very strong identity. But the group wants the world to know that other people can do this too. And that's really the goal of this book. I was asked, I have just maybe 1 minute left, and I was asked to kind of summarize what are some of the key learnings. And I think, honestly, we're going to hear that when we move on and hear from the action group themselves about what they believe are the key learnings that we should all take away from this. But I think, certainly speaking as a researcher, that one of the key learnings for me, I will only speak for myself, I think, because Deb, you and I we've come with different backgrounds and different ways of thinking about this work. So there are different answers to this question about what a key learning is for a researcher. For me, I came in with a big commitment to inclusion and participation. And I don't think I had any idea about really what that meant. One of the key learnings for me has been about really listening and learning some of the skills, because listening can also be very passive, like you just don't say anything. And it isn't that. It is about, I think, about learning the skills for really allowing people to participate and contribute and make decisions in meaningful ways. So, and that it takes time. It's been 4 years, and this is the growth and development of this group, knowing that some people in this group aren't here today. And there are some people who weren't here at the beginning, that it's not just the cluster of people here. There were others that came before, and the important contribution they've had to where we're back today. Oh, okay, I've gone over my time. I want to say one more thing. We have university connections. Those are important. And moving forward, we need to recognize that universities, I would speak up for UBC in particular, is very committed to knowing how the university as an institution can better support this work. So I think as we think about, how a book like this can have impact, we can also think about those bigger institutions and fostering change at a bigger level. I will stop now.
Thank you so much, Allison. That was lovely. Deb, did you want to add anything at all, or?
I wasn't prepared to add anything, but just to say
Okay.
it is really lovely to see here. Allison, you were focused on social inclusion. For me, social citizenship is about addressing stigma and discrimination, and to see where the group has taken it. And also, I remember the trepidation of wondering when we started the project, was it even possible to move it in some place? And to see where it came over the next 4 years has been so exhilarating to actually see and feel that see change happening because of how the group has moved forward. So thank you.
I think I do speak for the both of us. From our perspective, best project ever.
Thank you so much, Deb and Allison. That was lovely. And sorry I put you on the spot, Deb. I want to move now to the action group members themselves. We'd love to hear from you. This is the 80th meeting 80 meetings. That's incredible. So my first question is for Granville Johnson. Could you tell us about the hardest part of this work? What has been the hardest piece for you about doing this work?
The hardest, well, the hardest part for me in doing this work, I like to focus on the from my perspective as primarily a an outlier from society, not a part of society, but not a member of it, not uh, being acting within it, but not necessarily feeling a sense of attachment and involvement with it. Um, Finding myself being uh, uh, recommended to join the group by Laura De Cruz from BC Alzheimer's. I wasn't sure what the outcome of this relationship would be for me personally, because I'm not used to this kind of relationship that I has been able to become a part of within this community, within the action group itself. But I found the group being very welcoming and very warm and vital in their energy. And I found that be very that piqued my curiosity, and I wondered where would this go. Yes, it's gone to on to do great things, and I really enjoyed every step of the way. As we were doing these things, though, and we were talking from a project development point of view about how to make these nuts and bolts fit together for the particularly the toolkit at the time, and a bit more I because that seemed to be our main focus at the time. I found myself wondering, how did this happen? How did all of these people come together in the synergistic relationship to develop this wonderful focus? And after much trepidation, because I didn't want to throw a wrench into the works, which I tend to do, honestly. I'm a shit disturber. I admit to that. I didn't want to do it here. As I say, a bear shouldn't shit in their own den. So, so, I thought, okay, well, bite the bullet, Granville. And I asked the group at one meeting, I don't remember when, have you guys ever thought about how we came together to develop this, how this happened? It's wonderful, but it wasn't magic. How did the how did you all do this? How are we doing this together? And is there any way we could probably pass this on to others so they can do the same? And I thought, and I heard when I made that question, suggestion, I heard this awesome silence. I went, oh shit, I did it again. But
That's
but as it turned out, I hit a nerve.
amazing. The right
So
nerve, the right nerve.
the right nerve. So it was like, and and we started to, as a group, started to focus on the dynamics of our groupness and how that came to be. And after that, that was kind of my drop in a palm. But then my personal life got in the way, and I missed quite a few meetings. When I came back, suddenly I saw this guide with ideas and with points and with concepts and with descriptions and with development. I went, oh wow, that's cool. So I dived right in, and I love it. So my role, and the hardest part for me was for me uh to get past my own blocks to allow myself to be a catalyst.
Amazing.
But I have but I feel that we as a group, all of us in the group have had to go through that process, and similar in our own personal lives that brought us to this group. And the guy reflects that magnificently. And I think that is the richness that the guy brings to the population writ large, because it gives them the concept and the understanding and nuts and bolts of how to do it within their own communities, with their own groups, with their own lives. Because those aren't just community lessons or group lessons or project lessons, they're life lessons.
You know,
And
Granville, I love what you're saying about the block too, because the block is that fear that you've often spoken of. Sometimes there's a fear, and when we walk into fear, great things happen.
yes, exactly. When we walk into fear, great things do happen. That lead to more fear, given, but that just means we keep walking.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That's amazing. Go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
Sure, that's okay. So I feel like those life lessons are there in detail, in glorious, soft, very welcoming color. And I think it is another pebble, more like a boulder, thrown in the world's pond. And it will resonate long after we're all gone.
Absolutely. It
And
sure will.
I'm incredibly thankful for 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 having to, oh God, I'm gonna cry again, for having the opportunity to be a very small pebble in what will be in that ocean that has become a waterfall and a torrent that is a flipping stigma action guy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Granville. Yeah, I agree, Myrna. Thank you so much. You're absolutely right. And it's something that will live on. My next question is for Craig. Craig, what did you learn about yourself through this process?
Good morning, everyone. Great to be with each one of you. So I'd like to attempt to answer this question. A little bit of context. I joined the group midway. Jim contacted me, and I don't have the exact date of when I joined, but he described it to me. And I was feeling a bit tentative about joining the group. I wasn't feeling too great or too skilled about my abilities. I did learn more about myself, and I'm not young, so I'm continuing to learn, because I was leery about my abilities, what I could do with the group. I just didn't feel really great about it. I felt like I had put myself on the shelf, or somebody put me on the shelf, and here Jim was asking me to get off the shelf, and I certainly had a lack of confidence. But I did relearn that I still have something to offer. Very simple concept, but I did relearn that I do enjoy working with others. I thrive on that. Many people come together. We come together with many ideas. My life experience hasn't ended. Very simply, I learned that others were in the same boat as me. I knew that intellectually, but in interacting back and forth, and this was always online, there were others who had dementia also and were going through the same things. I was accepted, and my contributions were valued, and it really has helped me in my own advocacy and my own collaboration. It has strengthened me. Thanks for asking me to respond to the question.
Thanks so much, Craig. That was a great answer. And yeah, it is interesting how we can know something intellectually, but our emotional self doesn't allow us to take it in sometimes until we have that experience. So that's wonderful that the group has given you that, and probably more than just you too. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. My next question is for Myrna. Myrna, I wanted you to talk about what you could offer somebody who's just starting out in advocacy. So why become an advocate? Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute.
As some great sports person once said, just do it. Advocacy means getting support from another person to help you express your views and your wishes and help you stand up for your rights. Someone who helps you is called an advocate, and we all have advocates. So just do it. We can all advocate in different ways and at different times in our lives, and we probably have. Think back to advocating for your child or for your parent. Maybe like in Port Coquitlam, we advocated for something like the Terry Fox Library. It is really a group of your community working together. Help us advocate. Just do it. Becoming a member of the Flipping Stigma Committee allowed me and others to give back to society, to learn and to understand, to listen, like Allison said, to listen, and to participate in advocating for ourselves and for others. I didn't realize that at that time, that stretching my capacity to actually hear others, to voice my opinions, and to be understood was a great gift I had been given. Just do it. To be valued regardless of my disability was so powerful and confidence building that my advocacy has grown into a satisfying and gratifying mini career. It goes without saying, and this isn't a great quote, and it should be, giving thanks to the team that brought this project to those of us participating is somewhat inadequate. That's a really complicated, and I don't even know what I meant there. So let's just disregard, put an X through that paragraph. We, those of us with dementia, unwrapped a great gift layer by layer until we realized the ability to advocate to professionals, to healthcare workers, including docs, to researchers, to administrators, and so on. From the videographers to the administrators to the complete team from Lakehead University and University of BC, insight of the word translators, that's you, Heather, and other, please understand the gift that was given to us has been invaluable, and we thank the whole team. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Myrna. And I love that. I love the Nike reference to just do it. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a complete idea. You can just get started on something. And as you go, you learn what that something's going to be. And I think that from what I've heard from action group members, that seems to be very much a part of the process, was talking about the process, establishing those goals, and figuring it out as you go. So that's wonderful. Thank you very much. Now we're going to turn to Lynn Jackson. Where are you, Lynn? There you are. I wanted to ask you about, because you've been doing some of these trainings with the Flipping Stigma Toolkit and you've been out in the community a lot, what evidence are you seeing that this resource and resources like it are making an impact, are changing views in society and in community?
Yeah, thank you, Heather. Yes, I have been with the Building Capacity Project, and we were from libraries to community centers to daycare centers for elderly. And, you know, in each one, the common denominator was, you know, we all know, or we're somebody with dementia. And it was really, for me, it was the people that when they listened to the clips, they all could relate or say something about what they just seen. And it was just, for me, a big, and what we want is for people to be able to start talking about it. So it was a real conversation starter. And I think that because they were able to talk about it within the groups that small groups that we did, they're going to go out into their worlds and talk to people about it. And then those people will talk. And I mean, it'll just trickle down little by little. There was lots of conversation and sharing. It was really heartwarming. I just found it a really great process and project that we could get people talking. And I think now having the guide so that if they'll know how we did it, and if they want to start something, that they'll be able to themselves. I think it was really great project. Thank you
so much, Lynn. Yeah, that's excellent. And thinking about the guide and how people will use it, like you say, after all these conversations have started, because that's been the big thing, hasn't it? The Flipping Stigma Toolkit. Right away, people hear an anecdote from an experience that someone's had, and they can relate to it in some way. And so then that starts these conversations. So in the guide itself, you included a section that was reflection questions for action group members. And in there, the questions were things like, this is for everyone now. So if anyone has some thoughts, I'd love you to chime in. So in this section, there were questions that were posed to readers that were things like, how will my input be used? Is my involvement being recognized as important? Do I feel validated that this is important?
Recording in progress.
And am I willing to listen to research partners and where appropriate, be flexible in my approach? So these questions, these reflection questions, I just wanted to hear your thoughts on those. Now that you've done this work, now that you've completed the guide, does anybody have any comments about how those questions came to be, why they're important, what you've learned since writing those even maybe? That might be too complicated.
Question was kind of difficult. Can you rephrase it?
Maybe just, thank you, Myrna. Maybe just, why was this section in the guide important to include these reflective questions?
Because
well, go ahead, Myrna.
No,
Please.
you go.
Okay. One of the reasons is because that question, like, what will this information be used for? There's that confronts the fear and of exposure of your inner self and to yourself as well as to the community writ large.
Yeah.
So that fear is the hardest thing to overcome at the starting gate.
Okay.
And it is important to answer that fear before you can take the next step.
That makes a lot of sense. Absolutely. And that goes hand in hand with that sense of feeling fearful, goes along with making sure that you do feel that your contribution is valued and that your being there is important and that you're being heard, not just listened to, as several people have alluded to.
And it opened the door, Heather and group, to involving more and more people with dementia who feel that they now can come forward because we are going to be looked at as equal partners in research. So many of us have partnered on with research papers, and it doesn't even matter how much we're able to contribute. The fact that we're putting our name down as a person with dementia does nothing more than encourage other people to do the same. So it's such a win-win document.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And I also like that question about, am I willing to listen to all research partners? And that goes for every member of the group on all sides and all angles. And it's a really powerful question, because I think, I don't know if you find this, but I sometimes feel like I have to remind myself that too, like just to slow down and listen for a minute and take in what others are saying. before I, like the old extrovert thing where the extrovert is waiting for you to finish talking so they can say what they want to say before they listen to the next piece. So that listening and really feeling heard is important as well. Yeah. Thanks so much. Anybody else have anything they wanted to add at all before we move to the next piece? Nope. Okay. Okay, well then I think it's time to move to the countdown to launch the guide online. So I'm going to pass the baton to Sam now, who has done the most incredible job of designing all of this and making it so beautiful. Just the feel of the print guide when I got it, aside from the fact that it's gorgeous, the feel of the paper she chose, everything about it is just so incredible. So congratulations to you, Sam. And maybe you could lead us in a countdown for the launch.
Yeah, well, I'm very happy to be here, like sharing this with all of you. I'm going to share my screen now. Oh, can I? Yeah. Give me a second. Okay, so if everyone can count with me, like from 10 to 0, that will be amazing. And then we will publish the website. So ready? And 10.
10,
9,
9,
9,
8,
8,
7,
6,
6,
5,
5,
4,
4,
3,
3,
2,
2,
1.
1.
Publish.
All right.
Yay!
Woohoo!
So now the website is alive. It's alive in all the, like basically you can access it in a tablet, in a desktop, in a mobile phone, wherever you put the URL. And I'm just gonna walk you through the guide to just for you to see what this is all about. So when you open the guide, well, the Flipping Dementia Stigma guide was designed as a storytelling piece, divided in different sections that tell who this group is and how they came together to create this guide and other projects as well. This is a one-page website where visitors will be able to scroll down and learn about the group's goals, the members' experiences, and the steps to create a group like this, among many other things. In the desktop and tablet version, the menu will always be present on the left side. Here, you can see it, helping people to navigate the guide and or focus in certain sections that are of their interest. Throughout the guide, you will find different quotes from different action group members, reminding us of their commitment to make change happen and above us to celebrate life while living with dementia. I'll be reading some of these quotes as we go. So if we scroll down, we find Donna's quote that says, "I like to think of us all as pioneers." This quote introduces us to our first section of the guide, which is Introduction and this action guide. In this section, users can find how the idea of this guide happened and how the Flipping Stigma on its Ear toolkit, a previous project that the group worked on and that it is now part of the World Health Organization Dementia Resources, like Alison mentioned, was a major influence in building the guide. And for those who want to know more about the toolkit, there are links all over the guide that take you to this resource, like there is this link here. And also this little icon will take you to the toolkit. And as we scroll down, you will see other links that take you to that resource as well. So we scroll down and we go to the part of the next section of who we are. In this section, visitors have the opportunity to know a bit more about the current and past members of the action group and how they got together to start a group like this. At this interactive part of the guide, the users can click on the names and a biography will appear where they can learn more about the members' interests and their life in general. I'm going to click on some of them so you can see them. For example, we have Lester here. Oh, wait. Actually, let me open it in the live flippingstigmaguide.com. Yay, now there it is. So we can see the different biographies of the members here. We have the past members here where you can click on as well and see them. So you scroll down, this brings us to the next section, which is what we bring to the project. This section highlights the members' diverse backgrounds and values that each of them bring to the guide. and how their unique strengths and differences complement each other, helping to bring a sense of friendship and trust among the group. As we scroll down, we go to the part of the action group journey. This part showcases a fun map with all the action group milestones since its beginning in 2019, starting from face-to-face meetings, moving on to Zoom gatherings because of the pandemic, and being able to do workshops and do art in these difficult times, to creating the online toolkit, participating in conferences, taking part on a web video series, sharing their experiences of living with dementia, and the creation of this action guide, among many other things. This graphic journey shows the collective efforts that the action group, along with UBC researchers and team, have been working on during these 4 years. This section ends with an important question that we hope invites visitors to reflect on. And the question is, what would flipping stigma look like to you? And to illustrate it, we have Lynn's collage here, where if you click on, it will enlarge and you will see the different parts and words that she put in here. As we scroll down, we see the action group goals. And this part of the guide start with quotes from two of the current members, Donna and Granville, highlighting the importance of the relationships between the action group members and having a common goal. We scroll down, and the common goal is contributing to research and making change happen. And as Craig, another action group member, said, we don't do it to get fulfillment, but we do receive fulfillment by accomplishing something that is usable and people go, hey, that's really helpful. So we scroll down and we see the action group guidelines. This part of the guide shows a list of things that drive the action group and that have made these and other projects possible. Within this section of the guidelines, we have some ground rules included that have helped facilitate the outcomes and achieve the group's goals. These rules are: be open to everyone, helps to have a sense of humor always, and set aside time in meetings agendas to catch up. This means give the members the opportunity to connect in every meeting. So we scroll down and we go to the part of advocacy. This section of advocacy tells the group experience of how working together and celebrating everyone's strengths, weaknesses, and differences has enhanced advocacy in general and their self-advocacy skills, and how the fact of being in a safe and encouraging environment helped them move towards their shared goals. So we scroll down and we go to the section of leaving a legacy. And just like in the action group graphic journey, throughout these 4 years, the group has been leaving a legacy to help and inspire others living with dementia and or those who are interested in learning more about it. Starting with the Celebrating Life t-shirt to the Flipping Stigma toolkit, this action guide, and hopefully soon the Flipping Stigma store that we hope to announce within the next weeks. This section shows all the different products co-created with the action group that are helping in one way or another to promote advocacy, reminding people with dementia that regardless of their diagnosis, there is always hope. So we scroll down and we go to this fun part of how can you create a group like this. So for those interested in creating a group like this guide shows 4 important points to consider when you are starting. Number 1, see a need in your community and become curious. 2, find few people who align with you. Number 3, commit to meeting regularly. 4, consider taking things further. It also shows a step-by-step list in more detail on how to do so, which is this one. So we go to the final section of the guide, which is reflections. And this section invites users to reflect on several questions before embarking on a project, either as a participant for people living with dementia, which are these questions and are the ones that Heather was mentioning, or as a researcher who wants to collaborate with people with dementia. So the guide ends with a quote from Granville and an action group member and the project contacts details. And to finish, I just want to read this beautiful quote from Granville that says, "For a person with dementia, every day you wake up and put your shoes on, stand up without falling down, and find your way out of the room is a day to celebrate. When life is essentially a ticking time bomb, we need to make the most of every tick to celebrate it all. And to do that, we have to change our perspective. We can choose to seek out the joy by saying, I'm going to make the most of my life as I have it. And that's it. This is the guide.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much, Sam.
I'm gonna put
So
the URL
exciting.
here in case someone wants to visit.
Perfect. So we have about 10 minutes left, and I was hoping that we could have a chance for questions, reflection, and some last thoughts. And I was going to pass this over to Jim and Mariko to facilitate that.
Thanks, Heather.
Yeah.
Jim, did you want to
Well,
start since you've been here from the beginning?
just do it, Mariko.
Yeah,
Just do
do
it. I think I would like to suggest that does anybody have any questions? I mean, we do have a few people who have not been a part of the project or have been in just at various points, but maybe there are some questions about the group or about the guide. And I see Lori is asking one. It just left the screen. Is there a place on the flippingstigma.com website that links to this new site? Maybe somewhere there asks, are you interested in doing something like this?
I can answer that. Not yet, but there will be, now that it's published, now we can put the link in there.
And, I guess, sorry, were you saying something else, Sam? Okay, because I'm interested in that question. Are you interested in doing something like this? Because that, and I guess I'm thinking back to what Craig had talked about that sense of the lack of self-confidence, which which does happen after you get your diagnosis. And
like, oh, Brad, oh,
and I think that question, a lot of people will not click on it because they won't feel they can do it, so therefore it won't happen. And that's not to say anything about your question, Lori, but I think what the intent of this guide is actually to show people that they can do it, to be that impetus to you see a gap or you feel there's a gap, or why don't we have a dementia cafe? So rather than, okay, well, I guess we don't and move on, maybe take a look at the guide and be inspired to actually just do it. So I hope it will be used in that way. I hope it will give people confidence to push against stigma, push to self-advocacy, push to be meaningfully engaged. So, Mariko,
Yeah.
how do you, what are your thoughts about this morning and what we've heard?
I just wanted to thank the action group members who spoke for their thoughts and what they shared. It really meant a lot to me as someone who's been involved for half of the project. But just to hear what you've gotten out of this involvement, and also want to say I learned so much from all of you. I did want to mention we have a few members who weren't able to join today, so we want to acknowledge Lester and Sherry and the work they've done in getting this guide ready, And Donna, I
Mhm.
want to say hi. We didn't hear from you, and I didn't know if there was anything you wanted to add as well.
No, I'm fine.
Okay. But wanted to say, thanks for everything you've done as well, Donna, because you've had so many insightful things to say over the past 4 years.
Thank you.
Yeah, just maybe open it up to any other questions, especially some of our guests who've come to join us for this really special meeting. If you had any more comments or things you wanted to say.
Oh, Myrna, I see you have your hand up, or you did.
And I saw Kim as well.
Oh,
Myrna, you're on.
Go ahead,
Myrna's
Myrna.
on mute.
See, I'm trying not to talk so much, so I keep muting myself, and then I just keep talking anyway. Here's the thing. We've all been so involved and we've learned so much about stigma, and we've learned how to cope with stigma to the best of our ability. I recently had somebody who came to one of our memory cafes, and she came when there was a very large group of people there, and then she didn't come. So I called to the next one. So I called her and she said, "Oh, Myrna, I just can't come when there's people from my town that might know me. I will come to the other one you do in another town." So whether that's stigmatized by someone else or self-stigmatizing, which I did to myself at the beginning, we have to be really keenly aware that although we've kind of taken this journey and gotten to the other side, there's so many others that need this help.
Yeah. Visibility. Yeah. Kim.
I was just going to make.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to make a comment, Myrna. I think your point is so well taken. And for me, one of the pieces that's really exciting to see is I remember in early discussions, the language of advocacy was put up with it. No way. It was not advocacy. It was education. And so it's really fascinating to hear how somehow that has transitioned over the course to a period where people are being very, very vocal and open about being advocates and self-advocates. And I just want to say how exciting it is to see people recognizing the importance of that. But it's also it's kind of the before and after. To me, I can see just the change is so vivid. It's very cool.
Yeah, it is cool. I was thinking that too, Deborah. Yeah. Kim, did you have something you wanted to?
Yeah, I just wanted to add like how grateful I am for this group in creating this guide, because the toolkit is such a powerful resource, and I don't think the work should stop there. And so this is going to enable so many more people to continue the amazing work that all of you have started. And I'm in a unique position now with the Alzheimer's Society. We have a new role, which is the lived experience role. And we want to create more opportunities for people with lived experience to get involved in the work that the society is doing. And I can just see how many ways that I can utilize a guide like this, because I think one of the biggest barriers that many of you have identified is that fear of, can I contribute anything? Am I able to get involved? How can I help? And I want to try to break that down as I bring on new volunteers with lived experience. And so I think that this guide could be maybe something that we could put in like an orientation package that people can read and just learn about others' experiences and how empowering that could be. So just really a thank you for putting that together.
Well said, Kimberly, because I think it's almost like we need support in all sorts of different areas, but the ones that we need the most and need to nurture and to keep them going is the personal contact with people that don't have Alzheimer's, and they need to know what the steps are. And even if they don't, if they don't have Alzheimer's, and they probably never will have it, at least if they can understand what we go through on a daily basis, then that's like, we're not the enemy. And you sometimes feel like you're the enemy when you're talking to somebody because they're like, whoa, back off. So it just lightens the load when you can just talk about it in a normal context, day to day, for us anyways. Right?
I love how you put that, Donna, about those It's just something to give that opportunity for those conversations. And Kim, yes, if you see ways to use the guide and orientation materials, I think everyone here would think that would be great, because that's, you know, the whole point of all of these tools that were developed by the action group members were for them to be used in all kinds of neat ways. Yeah.
Yes.
I just wanted to add that the guide is also available in a print version. It's like a little book. It has the same things in there, like the same content.
Yeah.
Just a thought. Just thinking about Kimberly, what you said. This is just an idea. I haven't really thought it through. With the Alzheimer's Society and the support groups, maybe this booklet could be used not as a not as a course, but as a resource for individuals who come to that support group, because it will inform, educate, and have them feel that they're not alone, and that others have developed this and others are with them in that.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful tool. And actually, Jim and I are going to be speaking to the Alzheimer's Society field staff next week about the toolkit, and just they're going to be able to answer, or Jim will be able to answer any questions they have, and just try to build confidence about how they can refer to the tool and support people through the conversation when stigma comes up in a support group, to feel confident about referring to this wonderful resource. So I hope that they will really be utilizing both this guide and the toolkit as much as possible.
Yeah, and the sooner the better, right?
Yeah.
My thought is that the toolkit will really be the confidence builder for so many people, because it is, as I wrote it down here, as somebody said, I think it was Lynn that said there was such power with the video clips or the power in the quotes throughout the toolkit said by people with dementia. And that is so, I don't know, it is powerful. But Sheila, you have your hand up.
Thank you so much. My name's Sheila Novak. I think I've met a number of you, but maybe not all of you. I'm a postdoc with Allison on some other projects, and she invited me to come to this because I think it's so important for anyone, and for me in particular, to learn about the work you've done. So I just want to say a huge congratulations that it looks absolutely beautiful. It's meaningful. It's already had an impact on me. And just I was thinking about that when Granville was talking about the how did this all form, and mentioned it wasn't magic, but it feels like there's a kind of a bit of a spirit to this group that I can already sense just from spending this little bit of time with you. But it's absolutely impressive, and I think it's going to have a huge impact. And already for myself and my own work as I go forward, it will be a resource too. So thank you. And congrats, yeah.
That's wonderful, Sheila. Thanks for saying that.
Yeah.
And Lori, we see your comment in the chat. Was that what your question was about the store? Because I saw your hand up earlier, Lori. Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, as Sam says, hoping by the end of October. And Paulina Santaya, we can send you a copy. Maybe you can touch base with Sam Pineda. She can send you a copy of that, but they'll be available for free. And I think Allison, you had something you wanted to mention as well.
Not so very much. It maybe builds on what Sheila had just said. I've been struck by the number of people who've talked about the opportunity we've had to do this, and it's so much one that we've created this opportunity. But I just want to point out and like the important role that the toolkit and the guide are going to play in helping create more opportunity. So I was, telling my husband this morning, is like, and I think I mentioned earlier, is like never been quite so clear when this project is wrapping up. We've got a few more, like there's some more educational work we're going to do through the year, but in a way it feels to me like this is the wrapping up of this project. And I don't have a good verbal metaphor, but if you can see my hands, it's sort of like this one's kind of sliding down just as others are building up. There are new projects. Sheila's got a new project where she wants to engage with people living in care homes. So when she says this work has had impact for her, that's the context. We've got more funding to do more work. And so there's work for all of us. And if we can bring more people and help more people have confidence to work together in this way, there's amazing things that can be done. So I just want to say thanks to all of you for your commitment and for creating this opportunity for us to work together in this way. It's just been an outstanding experience.
Totally reciprocal.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Jim and Deb, I wondered if you had any closing thoughts, because we are at just past 11:30. So you want to be wrapping up, but might be nice to just end with a few thoughts from the two of you.
Well, it's been a hell of a ride. But it has been
I think Jim froze.
Yes, he did.
Can you hear us, Jim? Oh dear. Well, maybe he can come
a
online.
research team.
Oh, there you are.
The never mind. I've got
Jim, it looks like you're having some connection issues, which is too bad. And Deb, I don't know if you're still in the meeting. I think I see you're there. Oh, there you're back, Jim. Sorry, we didn't hear much what you had to say.
never mind.
Oh.
It's I don't know why, but the internet is really unstable right now. So
well, I'm sure we can
I won't
imagine.
worry about it.
Yeah, it's, you've been at every meeting almost, Jim. So I just wanted to remind everyone of that. I'm sure they all recognize that. But yes, thank you for all of that time and for facilitating those meetings. And I'm not sure if Deb's available because her camera's off, but if there's anything you wanted to add, Deb, I'll just open it to you. I'm sure she echoes the similar things that Allison said and Jim's sentiment.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll turn
I
it
just
back.
appreciate what everybody has contributed.
But I would say it again, Jim, when you say it's been a hell of a ride, the image I had is of you like leading the horses on the wagon, because really you've been in that driver's seat at just about every single meeting. And this is the 80th one. So
yeah,
it's like,
blows me away. There she is.
Sorry, I had an emergency call.
Yeah. Any Deb, we're just going to wrap up and we were just wondering if you had any final thoughts.
No, thank you for asking. But again, thank you for inviting me. This is awesome. It's really cool to see what happened as a germ of an idea back in, I think, 2017 is, I think, when we first started talking about it. And it's so cool to see. And again, it's cool to see it also being picked up from a previous project where it started to talk things. So it's neat. And it's so exciting to see where it's been taken, far beyond where certainly I ever imagined it could go. So I'm just so excited to thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Deb. Yeah, it's so cool to think that, when a project goes even further than you ever expected, that's a sign of great things that have happened, I think.
And especially hearing the use of the toolkit at Kit's neighborhood house and all the volunteers having access, and knowing that the toolkit is being used as a teaching aid, if you will, by some professors, whether they be here or that professor near or in and around Washington, D.C. It's you guys have really had impact. And in that way, it's my hat is off to you for all that you have contributed to not only the research and the science, but also to the practicality of seeing the toolkit as an online resource for individuals, but also as a teaching tool. That doesn't happen very often. So.
And it is a bit of a feeling of saying goodbye today, even though we will all be continuing to stay in touch and there's lots more work to do. But it is a little bit bittersweet, isn't it, that this 80th meeting and this launching of this guide is a closing in a way. And that, I guess, brings us to our closing of this meeting.
Yeah.
And, I just want to say thank you to Eric and Paulina for everything they've done, and Sam and Heather. And maybe on that note, we'll turn it back to you, Heather. Would that be okay, Jim, to officially close this? How that's going? Does that sound okay, Allison and Deb as well? Yeah. Okay. Heather, take it away.
Well, thank you all for coming today for this very auspicious occasion, launching the Flipping Dementia Stigma guide that you've all worked so hard on. Thank you to everyone for all of your contributions. Thanks for being here today to celebrate with us. And we look forward to seeing where this goes. So have a beautiful day, everyone, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Love you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Enjoy